What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Thank you for watching. Today we are back on the topic of home defense. So this debate will probably rage on until the end of time. Over penetration, under penetration, pistol, rifle, shotgun. We're probably not going to solve any of that in this video, but last summer I made a video called How Many Houses Will a Bullet Go Through? It was an interesting one, pretty controversial. If you want to see it, I'll link it at the top of the screen here, but basically we made little panels out of wood, siding, drywall, insulation, and just tested how bulletproof a house actually is. And as we all assumed, most self-defense calibers will blow right through a traditional house. But I thought we would expand on that a little bit and kind of give the best case scenario for stopping a bullet in a home defense situation, because not everyone lives in houses that are made out of wood and drywall. So today we're doing concrete. So this is our ghetto little setup here. We have a bunch of these things. They're obviously just 8x8 concrete blocks, and actually a lot of concrete homes are made out of blocks just like this. Now there would probably be something in the hollow cavity there, like insulation or even a full concrete pour, which would definitely be the most bulletproof. But obviously over penetration is a big concern when choosing a self-defense caliber, and it's kind of a balancing act between too powerful and not powerful enough. Obviously a 50 BMG would dirt nap just about any living thing on planet Earth, but it's a terrible choice for home defense because it's just gonna over penetrate like crazy. Like I said, most houses don't do anything to stop bullets, but if you're lucky enough to live in a concrete or a brick house, would one of those walls stop a bullet, or would it over penetrate and potentially injure innocent bystanders? Let's find out. So this is our setup. We're gonna put our house walls on the table, and then a few feet behind that we have our innocent bystander who's walking their dog by your house when you shoot your big scary gun in self-defense. We're gonna go ahead and skip the 22 and 380. I can pretty much guarantee they would not go through a concrete wall like this. We're gonna start with the 9mm. This is the Glock 17 MCK, and we have the SIG V-Crown hollow point. Our 9mm hit right there. You can actually see exactly where that bullet hit that concrete, and obviously did not go through, and nothing hit our innocent bystander. So the 9mm would probably not leave a concrete house. All right, let's try another really common self-defense handgun caliber, the 45 ACP. So this is the SDS 1911 from Turtle Lake Tactical. I appreciate them sending the gun out, and the bullet we're shooting is the Federal Punch 45 ACP. Shouldn't do much different than the 9mm, but let's see. I don't think it went through. .45 ACP hit right there, a little bit more damage than the 9mm, but still did not go through. All right, next up we have the most popular self-defense rifle in America, the AR-15. So this is actually a pretty good choice for home defense because the 5.56 is so fast and lightweight, it typically doesn't over penetrate like a lot of people think it does, and even like some handgun rounds do. So for this one, we just have a regular old 55 grain 5.56. Well, it definitely broke the cinder block. Let's see if it went all the way through. Well, it clearly destroyed our concrete block, but I don't see any marks on the paper target back there. And if you look at the table, you can actually see some bullet fragments. Those are pretty big bullet fragments, actually, and even a couple up here as well. So it looks like the 5.56 obviously hit it quite a bit harder and broke that concrete block, but the bullet also broke apart and did not make it to the other side. Now, if you shot 3 or 4 of them in the exact same spot, it would probably go through, but the odds of that happening are pretty low. Let's try the AK-47, another very popular self-defense rifle, obviously shooting the 7.62 by 39, quite a bit more powerful than the AR-15, and I tend to think this one would probably blow right through, but I don't know, that concrete is pretty tough. Let's see. Once again, obviously broke the concrete. It looks like it kind of knocked the top half of that block right off. And if you look at our paper target back there, down there towards the bottom, you can see we have our first hole on the paper, but in the middle of this first block, there's actually a pretty big piece of that bullet. I'm not sure, it doesn't look like the entire bullet, so I imagine it probably stopped the majority of it, and then a small little piece went through and poked a hole in our innocent bystander. Again, it could have been a piece of the bullet or a piece of the concrete, I'm not really sure, but either way, we definitely have a hole in that target. Let's try the 308. This is a big old round. Believe it or not, I have heard of people using Scar Heavies and stuff like that for home defense. I don't think I would recommend it, but this is the biggest rifle that we brought out, because anything bigger than this is kind of crazy for home defense. Let's see if it goes through. I tell you what, these concrete walls are very impressive. It stopped 90% of that AK bullet, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does the same thing with the 308. Well, the cinder block's gone. Definitely the most dramatic concrete destruction so far. That stuff is all over the table. And if you look at our paper target, to the left of the AK round, you can see we have an even bigger hole in the paper. I'll go back there so you guys can see it up close. Definitely something came through. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was our bullet, because I don't see any of the 308 on the table like I did with the others. So for whatever reason, they keep dipping down, probably because I'm shooting at kind of a downward angle, but it looks like the 308 probably blew right through. And all of you that use shotguns for home defense, don't worry, we are gonna end with the shotgun. But since I brought it out, let's go ahead and try the 4570. So for this one, we are gonna use the 300 grain Federal Fusion, and I really don't know what to expect with the 4570. It's kind of a weird one. I definitely underestimated it in the body armor video that we did last week, but it's not the same bullet design as a 308 or a 7.62x39. It's a much flatter nose bullet, and I just assume it's not as good at penetrating. But again, I did underestimate it in the body armor video. So 4570 T-Rex Slayer. Let's see what it does. It definitely hits the hardest, that's for sure. Man, the way that 4570 impacts things just always surprises me. That thing is an absolute beast, and you can see even more concrete destruction than the 308 or any other gun we shot, really. We've got huge pieces all over the ground. It just obliterates stuff. It's crazy. But if you look at the paper target back there, we don't have any new holes, so it at least didn't hit the paper. It could have missed and hit the backstop somewhere else. But it looks like nothing went through. Let's move this. Okay, so I do see a couple bullet fragments. There's a small one there, if the camera will focus for you guys. And this looks like some of our bullet right here. That's definitely a pretty good piece. We got some more lead right there. So definitely stopped a good majority of that 4570. Again, there could have been bullet shrapnel that did go all the way through and just didn't hit the paper, obviously, but it looks like for the most part, the concrete did stop the 4570. Still, probably not a good home defense gun. Might be kind of excessive. And keep in mind, this is like best case scenario for a house. All these guns that we've shot today would blow right through most house walls, unless it's concrete or brick. All right, we're gonna end with the old Joe Biden home defense classic, the 12 gauge shotgun. It's not double barrel, but it is an 18.5-inch 12 gauge, probably the most common size for a home defense shotgun. These are still very, very popular. I talk to guys all the time that use 12 gauge shotguns for home defense, and they're not a bad option. There's tons of different ammo. So we're gonna start with some regular old birdshot. Birdshot's gotta be the most controversial shotgun home defense load. The one benefit that it does have is over penetration, but it's also not very effective. Let's see what it does to our concrete wall. I'm probably 10 yards away. Didn't even damage it. So I wouldn't say I necessarily agree with people that use birdshot for home defense, but if you live in a traditional house or have a lot of neighbors, I can understand the mentality behind it, because a lot of shotgun loads will over penetrate. But you can see on these concrete blocks that birdshot did absolutely nothing. Just tiny, tiny little dents all over the front of it. And then on our paper target back there, we do have a lot of that shot pattern that completely missed the block. So birdshot does not overpenetrate, that's a fact, but oftentimes it doesn't penetrate enough to even do the job. And if you live in a concrete house, I think you could get away with using something a little more powerful. Let's find out. 9 pellet double-aught buckshot, probably the most common ammo for home defense with a shotgun. Let's see what it does. So obviously the impact was quite a bit more dramatic. You can see on our bottom concrete block there, we've got a pretty big chunk taken out. I think the majority of it hit the top, and there's lead all over the table here. So it looks like the majority of those buckshot pellets did stop on the table, but back here on our target, we do have one. So I'm not sure if that one completely missed the concrete or if it went all the way through and hit our paper target, but I don't see any others. So it kind of makes me think it probably went through. At this point, you guys have seen the slow-mo, so you probably know better than I do, but when you shoot buckshot, you have multiple pellets that are all kind of clustered together, and it's not impossible to think that several of those could have destroyed the concrete and then one did sneak its way through. I'm not sure. Either way, our innocent old lady did get hit with a double-aught buckshot pellet. How dare you? All right, we got a new paper target up there, and we're gonna end with a 12 gauge shotgun slug. Typically, not a round I would recommend for home defense because it's got a ton of recoil and usually over penetrates, but let's see what it does to our concrete wall. Get ready for the recoil. Actually wasn't too bad. It looks like it just split this concrete block right in half. And, well, I just broke that one. I see some little pieces of lead, but really nothing too big. And check this out, that is 100% a big piece of our shotgun slug. That was not laying there before I shot that. And there's really nothing on the paper. I do see a couple tiny little marks right there and another little one right there. So I'm thinking maybe this piece of lead just bounced off that paper and kind of landed right there, but really didn't have enough left on it to do any damage. And shotgun slugs are really big and heavy and they carry a lot of energy, but they're not going nearly as fast as some of the rifles that we shot. So I didn't really expect it to go all the way through. I tell you what, if you live in a concrete house, you're in a pretty fortified place. Well, there you have it, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed the video. It looks like unless you're using something pretty powerful, a concrete house would keep most bullets inside. The .308, which is a caliber I wouldn't really recommend for home defense, looks like it probably went through, and the 7.62 by 39 might have had just a small little piece go through as well. But other than that, it stopped pretty much everything. Like I said, most regular houses are not gonna stop hardly any of these guns. They'll go through like 2 or 3 of them before they finally come to a stop. So concrete houses for the win when it comes to gunfighting for sure. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know down in the comments below. As always, hit that like button for me, guys. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.